Hello and welcome to Rage Quit. My name is Jay and today we're going to be looking at Warcry and something super interesting, insert sarcasm, because we're actually going to be looking at a spreadsheet and some statistics. So we're going to be looking at the deployment statistics and the battlefield objective statistics. I'm struggling with that word, but just bear with me. So we're going to look at a spreadsheet and we'll just talk about the chances of certain things happening. So for those of you wondering what I mean, in Warcry, at the start of the game, initially you split your force into three different groups. You have your shields, your hammers, and your swords, and they deploy in different ways. Now they deploy based on these cards, which are randomly selected. Now today I'm only going to be looking at the ones that have this little symmetrical symbol. I don't know if you can see that on this card. This symmetrical symbol that indicates that Games Workshop think that's suitable for match play, right? And you will also draw a set of these cards, but instead of it being where you deploy, it'll be what you do in the game, as in kill the hammers, kill such and such a body, deploy objectives here, take some treasure there, whatever it is. And when I saw that this was going to happen, a bit of me wanted to know the maths, or what is the chance of this unit coming out on round 3. Because in the deployment stage, it's not just a case of where is it, it's what round it is, and it's the round bit that really interests me the most, because the location would be hard to quantify, but the round a little less so. So in the book, let me get this up so I can get this on. In the rules, which we won't be going through them all, they talk about pitch battles and how there are 12 pitch battles available right now. These pitch battles are actually combinations of the deployments and the objectives that they think offer a fair and balanced game. Now, obviously, I've not tested that. The game only came out. I only got the box today. The game only came out on Saturday. But these 12, they get together a deployment and an objective, and there's 12 of them in Table A. 6 in Table A and 6 in Table B. Right? Understood? So you could just use those, and on my spreadsheet, that is why I have got this line, and that should be Unseen Blade. I've already made a typo. By the way, this spreadsheet will be available online if you click in the description below. So they think Unseen Blade and Drawn and Quartered would be a fair, balanced game. And that's the case for all of these here. These are the ones that they recommend. The rest are the other cards that have the match play symbol, the symmetrical symbol, but aren't in that combination. I hope that's making some sort of sense. If you're familiar with the game at this stage, it might do. If you're not, then just bear with me. So in Table A, and we'll just do the whole thing. So what I've done here is I've put shield round, hammer round, and sword round. And in your shield section, you need to have at least 1/3 of your models rounded up, I think they say. You can't have more than half. Fair enough. Everybody else just needs to have one model in it if that's what you want. But do keep in mind that that might not be a great decision based on what some of these objectives are. Right. So the Unseen Blade is basically a deployment where your shields deploy on round 1, your hammers deploy on round 2, and your swords deploy on round 2. Right? Does that make sense? I hope you're with me now. Drawn and Quartered, on the other hand, is an objective game. Now, the reason I don't want to write out all of the objectives here, so I've just sort of put it in the best I can. For example, on Bloodmarked, it's actually a game that at the start of the game, whoever is deployed, your enemy picks one unit, and then all they have to do is kill that. They become bloodmarked. So I've put it's a kill game, because it is, and it's a round 1 choice. Whereas if we look at maybe Shock and Awe, that is a kill game, but what you have to do is destroy all of the daggers. Now in this particular round, the daggers actually start off on the board. The sun's going in. I do apologise. The UK weather's all over the place, but hopefully you're with me there. Now treasure is sort of objectives are the ones where it's stationary, where you just have to capture it and then maybe either burn it in the pillage one or just stay there and hold it. Whereas treasure is the one where you really need to you pick it up. Right. Now special depends, and I'm not writing all the specials. Just know that the specials are a little bit weird and you need to probably check them out. So what we can see, and for the 12 that Games Workshop sort of suggest, what we can see here is that the lower the total means that essentially on average you're more likely for that to happen. So it's more likely that your shields will be deployed first. And that's the case across, even if you include the extra 6. I never mentioned this, but at the start of this, there are 18 symmetrical cards for deployment and 18 symmetrical cards for the objectives. And they are recommending a combination for 12. But you could actually have, Blood Rush with Blood Marked. That sounds interesting, very bloody. So just keep that in mind. Tournaments may use the per rings, but they might not. It's completely up to the tournament discretion. And when you're at home, you might think, oh yeah, we'll play one of these, or you might think we'll just draw the cards. I'm not looking at the ones that aren't symmetrical because, quite frankly, I don't care about them, and I feel like they'll be just not balanced, and I don't enjoy that. So, so you can see essentially the shields are most likely to be deployed first. There are a couple of times where they are actually in round 2. That happens 3 out of the initial 12 and 4 out of the initial 18 times. So you're pretty safe if you put a lot of your stuff into shields. Makes sense, you need to have a third, but you can't have more than half because they can see that, if you just front-loaded your shields with everybody, you're more likely to have an advantage if you have more models, more of your fighting prowess on the board from the start. But they've thrown in a couple of rounds, a couple of deployments where actually you don't get them. And that's probably to stop you doing that and to mentally perturb you from doing that. And then I didn't realize there would be a big difference. It's not a massive difference, but between the hammers, so in the 12 ones you get 22. Wait, I should really do an extra total. It'd be too hard to do on the fly. But yeah, on the 12 you get 22. So that means on average your hammers are more likely to be last, right? They're more likely to either be round 2 or even 3 in this case. Only 3 times are they round 1. So you pretty much don't want to put too much in them, perhaps, except, of course, on the couple of rounds where you get them in round 1, if you've done that, and you got something where they die, they have to die, on this round here, Vanquish, all it takes is your hammers to die. So if you just had one person in your one unit in your hammer unit, you deployed him first, you're dead. It's game over. Do you know what I mean? So the game is built, or it seems to be, they're trying to do combos in which sort of stop you from just front loading your shields. It's like rock, paper, scissors based on mathematical odds, I think. So yeah, your hammers are the worst. Now, even the hammers, if we include the extra 6, which maybe we should, this would go up to 29, and this would go up to 27. So you'd still be more likely to get the swords. It doesn't change the order of this. But your swords are sort of like the middle of the road unit. Sometimes you get them in round 3. Sometimes you get them in round 2. Sometimes you get them in round 1. Sorry. So your swords are sort of the middle of the road unit. Now, what you might want to do, if you're hammers, what you could do is put a couple of your fast people in there. Maybe if you've got birds or flyers, you could put them in there. That would maybe let you flee before you die, if that's what crops up. And if it's all your hammers, then you can maybe sacrifice one and get the hell out of dodge with the other. So I'm thinking maybe my hammers. Maybe you want your fast hard hitters. Maybe the clue is in the naming here. The shields, you want your generic all rounders because you're very likely to get them first. And then your swords, maybe that's where you just want your I'm all right, but I'm not. I'm maybe a little bit tricksy. So I think maybe the game is designed with that in mind, and you can see that here. As for these deployments, it's a little bit awkward. As I said, the specials, I've not even written down what the specials are. I think the raids one, you have to it's like you get to the other side of the board, and then you just walk off the board. That's something like that. I'm not sure if that's if it's that one. I'd have to double check, and I can't bother doing that because I would have finished the video nearly. So and the ones that there's only 1 treasure in the 12 that they recommend. There's 3 overall in the 18. And for the specials, there's a couple of height ones based on the non-12 default ones. But yeah, that's about it. There's one where you kill in the initial 12, it's where you kill the daggers, where you kill the hammers. And then in the other 6, you get one where you kill the shields. And then one where you kill just the leader. The blood marked, as I said, is one where it's a kill one, but you do it right at the start. Like you pick somebody and then you've got to kill them. The objectives are pretty solid. So you can see here, basically, it's either kill, or no mercy is where you've got to kill half your enemy. It's either kill or objectives, and that sort of rings true. Except here, it's more like killing is 6 out of the 18, is it? And yeah, so like I'm stuttering a little bit because I'm curious if those numbers actually make sense. Yeah, so there's 12 there, so it's not quite 6 out of the 18. The math's even making any sense. Oh, there's 4. I was trying to do 18 divided by 3. Not a very smart man at times. So yeah, so the kill 6 out of 18 is 1/3, which is going to be the majority of what you get. Objectives are going to be 4 out of 16, so decent enough. The treasure is going to be 3 out of the 16, and the specials, which are a bit quirky, they're 5 out of 16. So make of that what you will. I know that this will be impacting the way that I decide what I should put in my shields, hammers, and swords. It's interesting. The fact that it's majority in shields makes me want to flood the shields with models. But the thing is, if you put your weak model in the shields, bloodmarked could wreck your day. All it takes is one weak model to get there. However, I think you could probably still risk it and just deploy in a way that protects your weak model. So I think I will probably I might even do 50% in the shields, and then like 25 of my normalish guys in the swords, and then sort of like maybe my fast hard punches. Like I've bought some flesh eaters. I'm thinking about maybe putting one of my flyy crypt people into them, just because it's like, well, if I'm deploying late, I can get into the round quickly if I'm a fast mover. So there's all kinds of things to consider. I just wanted to get this out there. I know it's not necessarily the most thrilling of videos, me talking about a spreadsheet and even fumbling over like maths because I'm an idiot sometimes, but hopefully like this will be maybe vaguely useful to you. It's going to just be a resource that's available looking at the symmetrical Warcry objectives and deployments. Obviously, I've not looked at the ones with the terrain because the terrain for the symmetrical ones are exactly the same, and I wouldn't really know how to even separate them, how to distinguish them between the others. And I've not looked at the non-symmetrical ones because, quite frankly, I'm tempted to burden the non-symmetrical ones. I'm just not interested in it. I feel like there's no point me spending an hour for a game that feels like one-sided from the off. I just don't enjoy that kind of thing personally, so I'm all about the symmetrical stuff. It'd be interesting to see if tournaments actually go for the pre-selected 12 possible options, or do we just accept it's 18 versus 18 cards and you just get what you're given and it's randomness and chaotic. I don't know. I think I would probably prefer the original 12 because I think some of them could maybe be a little bit too swingy, and I mentioned that as one of my concerns, but I need to play it a lot more first, and hopefully I'll be doing that this weekend. So that's the video. It's all about statistics. It's not even statistics. I've not done like percentages, but I've not done percentages. Maybe I should have. It's too late now. I've just done averages. Yeah. Have a most beautiful day. If you like this video, like. If you're interested in Warcry or any kind of skirmish game, subscribe. Notification button if you want it. Have a beautiful day. Goodbye.